Travis Wayne Goodsell. The few of you who watched my exposure of yet again Wikipedia changing Brigham Young's article, I will be aware, if you've been following my channels, that I'm the one who exposes the errors on Wikipedia, and after having exposed the errors, Wikipedia gets changed and not only puts in what I was already exposing from having done real research, but also adds other bombshells that I expose. Case in point, our first person is John D. Lee. I've exposed him, especially with Senator Lee making the news, as he's acting like his ancestor of old. I was able to do the research and find out that yes, he is a direct descendant of John D. Lee. And so here it is. Descendants was added to his Wikipedia page, in which Lee had 19 wives, because he's a Danite, and 56 children. And his descendants are now numerous. Yay. And so they list former Solicitor General Rex E. Lee and a direct descendant of John Lee as his son, Senator Mike Lee of Utah, and Supreme Court Justice Thomas R. Lee, Utah Supreme Court Justice, if I didn't say that. So, yeah, confirmed. And, dear God. And so I need to go over with you again the threat of the Danites and how you can identify them in church history. Not only section 117, 15 is another one, isn't it? I need to verify. Because it comes after 16, so I'm pretty sure that's why they put 16 where they did. Yep, Newell K. Whitney, there's the Danite. How do we know he's a Danite? Well, because Joseph Smith exposes him as being a part of the Danites. Verse 11. Let my servant Newell K. Whitney be ashamed of the Nicolaitan band and of all their secret abominations, and his littleness of soul before me. Yep. If you don't use the footnotes, you're not going to understand, because you're going to say, Travis, it doesn't say Danites. See? Dumber than bricks, I tell you. Well, you'll see in the footnote for 11a, Revelation chapter 2, verse 6, and then has in parentheses 6 and 15. When I was involved in the project to revise the footnotes for the Guide to the Scriptures for Foreign Languages, we were instructed that we need to get rid of those. Just do the scripture reference and not do the parenthesis stuff, among other things. But yeah, that's referring to the book of Revelation. So he's using a code name for the actual Danite group within the Mormon Church. So Joseph Smith knew, and like I've been trying to tell you, Joseph Smith's papers, 19 July 1840, Joseph Smith found out the leader of this band, and it was Brigham Young. So Newell K. Whitney is the one who had a home near what's now called Adam-on-Diamond for 116, and it was his home that was used as the headquarters for the Danites as they were involved in the Utah War. They all gathered there at Adam-on-Diamond and then went to the election in that same Daviess County on election day to try to overthrow the election. And thus, when you go over the Wikipedia page now for John D. Lee, oh look, he was involved in that election fraud scandal, just like his ancestor, Senator Mike Lee, who was likewise involved in our election fraud scandal. There are types and shadows, as is referred to in Mormonism, as the ancestors are doing the exact same thing. And if you've been paying attention to my channel, you'll notice that I'm here because I exposed this from Joseph Fielding Smith Jr.'s book, The Way to Perfection. In my edition, it was pages 290 and 291. They talk about Adam-on-Diamond is the place where Jesus is going to come and receive authority to then go conquer the governments of the world. And for some reason, editors didn't catch this, or he purposely wanted it put in. But Jesus gets the keys from Lucifer directly, according to the manner in which it was written, if you use English properly. And so, despite how hilarious that is, that also reveals a frightening scenario, as Lucifer's symbol is the inverted pentagram, which is what Mormons use. It's the keystone on the Salt Lake Temple, as I've been exposing as well. And so, he being a part of 9/11, this goes back to what I've been telling you about with the attack on William Morgan in Canandaigua, New York on 9/11, 1826, where Joseph Smith Sr. was the Master Mason, and Heber C. Kimball was a part of that incident because he, in his Wikipedia page under Masonry, which is taken from his journal entry when he gets to Salt Lake, apparently he forgot who Joseph Smith Sr. was. Yeah, he was lying to us. And he was a part of this group of Illuminati that had infiltrated America and then infiltrated Joseph Smith's church, called themselves the Danites, which from Hebrew is judges. They were going to judge Joseph Smith for father destroying the Freemasonry of the Illuminati Scottish Rites, as Senior was a part of the York Rites with the Knights Templar, and was helping William Morgan write the book. And William Morgan only got to 116 pages, had to stop because he was arrested. And Joseph Sr. said, I'll finish the book for you. We're going to have to wait a year until everything cools off. We'll hand over the 116 pages to Sidney Rigdon out in Ohio so that nobody can find them. And I've told you the rest of the story. Great, now the sun's coming up. It's going to ruin the video quality. And so John D. Lee was a part of all of this. He was a part of the Council of 50, which Brigham Young created as Joseph Smith was running for President of the United States, so that they would have a counter government if Joseph Smith were to win the election, and thus be the secret government in America. They had this all planned out in case such condition would exist. This is what they do. And so John D. Lee was a part of that. And yes, they faked that Joseph Smith was a part of it, and Sidney Rigdon was a part of it, and others who were not a part of it, so that they can legitimize it to others who were unaware of their secret group, such as polygamy. They were purposely going around to Mormon women who were married to other men, saying, hey, Joseph Smith has started this thing called polygamy. We got to keep it a secret, so don't tell even him that you know, because we can't let this get out. It's kind of against the law. And we're tricking women into having sex with them as part of a spiritual wifery thing. And John C. Bennett was even claiming that he, as a physician, he had an abortion elixir for them, as he was a piece of work in and of himself. But yeah, in his Wikipedia page, he was an Illuminati that came into the Danite group and tried to form his own Illuminati after he was kicked out. And after getting kicked out of James Strang's group when he tried to start up polygamy there. So lots of scandals with this secret band within Joseph Smith's church. And they were the ones who were putting Joseph Smith in jail all the time. They would commit the crimes. Joseph Smith would take the fall. And the reason for that is so that they can then take over the church, as Brigham Young, when in 1838, with the whole Mormon War, rose up to become president of the 12, and usurped authority he did not have to run the church in absence of Joseph Smith being wrongfully locked up in Liberty Jail, which Joseph knew, because he says in Section 122, falsely accused, false brethren, perils, which, yes, Nelson used to send me the death threat, as I then went on to expose the Adam on Diamond scandal. And so, yes, the Joseph Smith Papers, the original document, has the original pages that were faded, and they had been crossing out big sections right before they ended and never used the book again to continue with what they were doing. And so when they got it, Brigham Young got it, Willard Richards, new pen, new ink, and began writing where they left off there, and put in a whole fraudulent story of Newell K. Whitney, Joseph Smith coming to visit. Oh, this is Adam on Diamond, the place where Adam dwelt, and spoken of by Daniel, so that they can put that in Brigham Young's 1844, was it? Let's find out when 116 was put in. Could have been an 1856, right before Brigham Young died, too. But we can find out. Doctrine and Covenants. I don't memorize, I do associative memory. And so, yes, people will catch me having made errors in my videos. It's because I don't memorize. It's associative, and I sometimes am thinking about something else when I should be saying something else. Wikipedia. Doctrine and Covenants, Wikipedia. And go down to sections added to LDS edition. And there's going to be a listing following where no. Okay. In 1844, no, 116 was not put in. That's how far apart their scam was. Dear God. Yeah, so it was a part of the 1876 edition where they put it in. And this is when they removed Joseph Smith's chapter on monogamy to put in Brigham Young's 1832. I did the video showing how the linguistic patterns match Brigham Young's temple endowment text. And it's Brigham's voice, but they're claiming it's Joseph from 1843, but it could have been as early as 32. As then people came out after Brigham Young made it an official commandment here in the Salt Lake Valley People were talking about Joseph told me about an angel that said he was going to murder him immediately, and it took 10, 12 years until he was murdered. They're all trying to justify Joseph as being the bad guy in the church, so that Brigham Young is the rightful successor to restore the church, and that's why they put in section 85, because verse 7 is supposed to be Brigham Young, and verse 8 is supposed to be Joseph Smith. But I've covered all these videos, just repeating information for you in a different format. So yep, 113 to 118, so yes, even 117. They tried to tie it all together to frame Joseph Smith. Yep. And so yeah, this is the changes that were made expose the bigger picture that I've already been doing videos for you. And so the Joseph Smith Papers knows all this and can expose it, as well as I've been confirming all the research that I've been doing. And yeah, well, we're at 16 minutes, so let's stop and see if we can do another one without getting my face blinded. His face glowed like leprosy.